People always talked about Brisbane as a big country town, and I think right and through to the end of the 80s, it felt like that. It was a very conservative place politically. Not a great place to be a gay man. I didn't know I was gay in the 80s. I came out in the early 90s, but you still see it. You know that you're in this environment where it's not safe. So I had a good childhood, but I knew that it was a problem to be a gay person, to be out in Brisbane. And I think like many people who grew up in Queensland at that time, there's a rite of passage to get out and to find somewhere where it's easier to be who you are. And for me, that was Melbourne. And I had a really lovely experience of meeting others during that time who sort of recognised that I was vulnerable, that I was young, and who took me under their wing. Coming out is such a profound experience, I think, for many of us. It's that period of struggling to actually understand what is happening for you, who you are, and then there's this moment where it turns into discovery. All of a sudden you're starting to find people and you're starting to find community, and in finding that you're discovering a whole set of things, that this is okay, that there are people who are like you. But it was a time when HIV was at its peak. We're in the darkest years of the AIDS crisis in Australia. So for me, when I was young, I was 19, I was at uni, I was meeting all of these amazing people, and a lot of them were gay men who were in their late 30s, in their 40s, and a lot of them had HIV. And so for me, the process of discovering my community actually was coupled with the experience of losing people. They were disappearing on me, and I was frightened that the community I'd found I would lose it. The huge privilege for me has been to work all my life in either community organisations, queer community organisations, or in parts of government where being gay was actually not only accepted, but was actually good for the work that I was doing. It allowed me to bring knowledge and understanding to that work that was valued. So I've been incredibly lucky in that sense. And it would be strange for me to think about what it would be like to work in an environment where my life experience, where being a gay man wasn't able to be part of that work. It wasn't until I came out that I started finding role models, started finding people in my community that I could look up to, and I found them everywhere. It was really meeting other people who were in the community, who were living their lives, muddling through, whether they were activists or students, or whether they were working. Those were the people that I looked to because I wanted to live my life like they lived their lives. I wanted to be a part of the community that they were part of. My advice to any person, whether it's a young person coming out, whether it's anyone who's experiencing distress, is reach out to each other. The greatest power we have as a community is the support that we give to each other as we make sense of our lives, as we struggle with the things that challenge us. No matter how bad it gets, no matter what you've been through, you're still here. And so that means you've got a 100% strike rate, a 100% success rate. Every challenge you've ever had, you've beaten.